Episode of Breaking Financial Chains. I'm so happy that you're here. Today in our episode we're going to be talking about dopamine and spending. So we've covered recently some topics around things like financial self-care, things like building a financial safety net, and when we talk about wealth and having money, it's not always so much about what you earn as what you keep from what you earn. So if we're looking to save, if we're looking to make smart choices with our money, if we're looking to earn more, a huge part of that needs to include looking at what is actually going out. What are we actually paying for out of our bank accounts, on our credit cards, out of our wallets and our purses, in cash, etc., etc. But this isn't about shame or save all your pennies or get yourself a little notebook and write down everything so that you can use it as a stick to beat yourself with. This is about the psychology and neuroscience around money behaviours. So this is about brain chemistry. It's about why we do what we do and what makes us continue to go back in relation to spending when there can be times when we question. We sit there and think, what on earth did I do that for? Why have I spent that money on that thing that actually doesn't help me or doesn't give me the feeling or the sense of achievement or the excitement that I thought it might do? So this isn't about you're broken. This is about the way that you're wired, the way that we are wired as human beings. And if we can actually understand a little bit more about that, well, then we can do something about it, right? We can make a change. We can make conscious decisions instead of just being carried away by the inertia of past habits and it just being, oh, okay, this is just something that I do and therefore I'm going to keep doing what I've always done. So if you've ever bought something random and felt amazing, followed by an immediate feeling of guilt, then this episode is for you. So what is dopamine? Dopamine is the brain's feel-good reward chemical. It's something that people with ADHD have a deficiency in. I have ADHD, and it is something that I'm aware as a late diagnosed person with ADHD that can sometimes trigger or can sometimes lead my behaviours. So it's really helped me as part of learning to understand where I've got to where I've got, that actually this has perhaps played a part in it. But dopamine spikes during anticipation. It's the anticipation and the excitement that comes from almost like the chase, the research, the looking online, the wandering around the shops, whichever way you like to shop. It's that anticipation that spikes the dopamine rather than the actual thing itself that you're about to purchase. Or what it's about what you're about to do, and it's that building excitement. Now, I'm not a massive shopper in person. I can't think of anything worse than trailing the shops. My eldest daughter will tell me that that's not true, and okay, to some extent that's not true all the time. It's nice that I can get to spend that time with her, and the same for my younger daughter as well. I don't have the most patience, but I am a big fan of the click shopper, sitting in the comfort of my own home with my slippers on, with my feet up, or whether it's on my laptop or my phone. I can spend, I can order, and a few days later these lovely parcels and boxes and packages arrive at my doorstep. I don't need to leave the house, I don't need to go out in the rain, I don't need to get in the car and use any of the fuel that's in there. I can just order it, and that's what I like to do. And it's almost as though these websites, they see us coming, right? Because it's based on psychology, because there is an understanding of what triggers that need to spend. Because of the dopamine hit that we get, online shopping is literally built to trigger it. Add to basket, wait for the delivery, unbox. My daughter will talk about the haul that she gets when she comes home from shopping, or when it's being delivered, she'll open the bag and pull each item out one at a time, and there is the excitement. So there is hit after hit after hit of dopamine. And when you understand that that's the way that our brains are working and that's the way that they're pushing us to behave, well, we can't use that as a stick to beat ourselves up with. I'm not saying that we it's not our fault. Go ahead and fill your boots with your spending. But if we can understand that there are things that are going on behind the scenes in the wiring of our brain chemistry that drive us to do these things, well, we can do something about it. We can understand, we can take the blame out of the situation, and we can consciously think, right, okay, I now recognise this is something that I do. If it's something that you want to do, brilliant. That is absolutely fine, absolutely great. We can budget for it. We can build in allowances for spending. There are many things that we can do to make that part of the plan. And if it is part of the plan and the spending is what you need to do, then that's absolutely perfect. But if spending is something that you're wanting to take a little bit more of a deeper look at, if you are feeling guilty at times with your purchases in the past, or when you then have the items arrive on your doorstep and you sort of get that drop of feeling of, oh my goodness, I've done it again, I haven't actually got the feeling I thought this item was going to give me, then that's when we need to make a change. Because we're chasing the feeling, not the item, our brain is rewarding us for doing something. It's not about the new organizer, it's not about the new handbag, it's not about the pair of shoes, it's not about the new set of pans that you've just ordered for your kitchen. It's about the whole process in its entirety. Shopping is easy, it's fast, it's accessible, we get that quick hit. It's not quite the same as, well, I'm going to research and I'm going to save, although for some people then that is where the dopamine is for them, and that's fantastic. Even scrolling and just looking at nice things can give us mini dopamine boosts, and that in itself could be something that we identify as a way in which we can manage these things. Create yourself a wish list instead of, I'm just going to put all of that into a basket and I'm going to buy it and I'm going to have it delivered tomorrow at 24 hours notice. But in understanding that the dopamine is driving the spending, we can perhaps sit back, take a second, organise or create some sort of circuit disruptor for ourselves and go, right, do you know what, I'm going to get myself a cup of tea or a cup of coffee and I'm going to sit and I'm going to think first before I hit proceed to actually pay for these purchases. And some of the things that we could consider are, is there some sort of emotional trigger that means that we're looking for dopamine? Sometimes it might not be spending. For some people it might be eating, it might be pouring a glass of wine, it might be hitting the gym or exercising. But understanding that spending is one of our go-to things when we feel a certain way is a huge step. It's a huge part of the whole process, because when we understand and when we have the knowledge and we have awareness and curiosity around our behaviours, particularly in relation to money, then we also have the power and the choice to do something differently. We can choose to not spend. We can choose to understand, actually, I've gone on the Amazon website because I'm bored. I'm looking at John Lewis' website because I'm lonely. I'm looking at Next because we've got next day delivery, which makes that super lovely hit of dopamine, because I'm stressed. I'm looking at brand new notebooks, organisers, stationery items, which is my Achilles heel, I have to say, because I'm exhausted, and I just know that if I order the new all singing, all dancing diary with all of the lovely prompts in there, that it will completely change my life if I buy this right now, and it's going to arrive tomorrow and I'm going to be able to work my way through it this weekend, and then next week I'm going to be a new woman. It's the feeling that we tell ourselves those spending is going to give us that we're chasing. We're chasing the release from the exhaustion. We're chasing the feeling of being completely organised. We're chasing the feeling of being engaged in something brand new. That might be a new hobby. We've seen a few reels, for example, on Facebook or TikTok of crocheting. So both my girls at the moment are into wanting to learn to crochet, and they want to make all of these really cute animals. My younger daughter is into marine biology at the moment, and she spent the summer making a whale shark paper mache model, which is actually pretty fantastic, to be honest. But but she's now wanting to crochet a whale shark and a stingray and various other items. So that for them is that, oh, it's the new hobby. And we just know, I know for myself, I buy all the bits and pieces, and then they're going to sit in the hobby graveyard and go to die with all of the other hobbies and things that I've purchased, because it's the feeling that I wanted, and once that thing arrives, that feeling isn't there anymore, and I'm now searching for my next hit of dopamine. So this becomes a problem. If it even is a problem, if this is something that you wanted to deal with, it becomes a problem because it creates a loop. Because we've got the everlasting, eternal search for the next hit after hit after hit, and we want it faster, and we want instant delivery, we want to go and get it now, I want to go and pick it up from Sainsbury's or wherever your closest pickup might be. I live in the middle of nowhere, so we don't have many places like that for the instant delivery. But it becomes a problem when we've got the spikes of the rush, the excitement, the regret, the shame, repeat. The feeling of the boredom, the loneliness, the stress, and therefore we've got the distraction and the regret and the shame and the repeat, and on it goes. If you recognise yourself in anything of what I've said so far, this is totally okay. This is normal. This is the way that our brains are wired when we're looking for that hit of dopamine. It's not, we don't have the logical process thought out and spelled out in our brains for us as we're working through it. It's just something that we naturally gravitate towards, which is why we need that circuit breaker, that interrupter, to help us to do something different if that's something that we want to do, if we no longer want that to be the problem that we perceive it to be. It often can lead to hiding purchases, leaving bags in the boot of the car, hiding them in the bottom of the wardrobe, over-explaining spending if you're in a situation where you feel that you should or need to do that, or even feeling out of control, of knowing that this is a problem, of seeing the purchases perhaps racking up on a credit card, knowing that it can't continue, or that you can't afford the repayments, or the things that you're buying aren't something that you need, and yet it doesn't stop you continuing to do that. It doesn't stop you from going around that same spike, anticipation, regret, shame loop that we've just talked about. The big thing here is this can damage financial stability and also self-trust. So this is about understanding the way that our behaviour is effectively, we're turning on our host. Our brain is making us sort of have less trust in ourselves because we're carrying out behaviours that we then don't like ourselves for, and then we end up doing other self-deprecating, self-damaging things like pouring a glass of wine, or not talking so nicely to ourselves, or not looking after ourselves properly. Now, this is not a lack of discipline. This is an overstimulated system, and the good news is that we can rewire it. So that is the whole purpose of what we're going to be talking about now for the rest of this episode. We're going to work through some examples and some strategies of what we can do to start working with your dopamine rather than trying to work against it. We're not going to sit and journal around calling ourselves names or feeling badly towards ourselves or talking down to ourselves or in front of other people, because in recognising and seeing that this is something that we don't want to continue, we also have the power and the choice to do something differently. We have the capability to be able to say, right, instead of A, I'm going to do B, and when this feeling C comes up, I'm going to put something different in place to help me not carry on with the pattern that's got you to where you are. So some examples of some strategies that I would love to share with you, and these are all things that I've done myself. Delay before purchase, that sounds really obvious, but maybe give yourself a 24-hour or a 48-hour rule. So you put the item in your basket, Amazon, John Luke, wherever it is that you're shopping online, and you wait. It's there, you've not forgotten about it, you've not lost it. Maybe set a reminder or an alarm on your phone to go back after a certain amount of time, And if it's still something that you want, need, you still have that same feeling of this will give me this feeling for this purpose, then by all means go ahead and continue to spend. A wish list that I mentioned earlier on will be another example. Amazon, you can set up multiple wish lists in your Amazon account, and you can add items in there that you can then purchase at a later date, so that you're not going to forget about them or lose them. If you catch yourself continually displaying the same behaviour, so spending is the specific example for today, then try to give yourself examples of where you can get the dopamine from elsewhere. So that might be music, 30-second dance party from one of my favourite shows, Grey's Anatomy. Get yourself moving, move away from the screen, from the phone, pick up the phone and speak to a friend. Accountability is a huge way in which you can help to change behaviours, telling somebody else what you're struggling with and telling them in advance exactly how you want them to help you. Movement generally, combined with the music, absolutely perfect. Getting outside, getting some fresh air, doing something completely different. For me, it used to be cleaning the fridge, which I'm not sure, I can't decide if I'm proud or not to share that with you, but it needs to be something that's completely different. I hate cleaning with an absolute passion, but I really like the feeling that I get and the sense of achievement when I finished. So I'll pick up a job that I've been putting off. Now normally things like cleaning, the ironing, cleaning windows are jobs that are reserved for when I've got a really important piece of work I need to get done, and all of a sudden these things seem appealing. But if you can force or push yourself into doing something different and getting your dopamine from elsewhere, that can really help. Add some level of friction or some level of disruption to the process of spending. So removing saved cards from your Amazon account, from your Apple Wallet, making use of two-factor authentication. This is one of my favourite things because it is such a pain in the arse, especially if you're spending on your phone, to have to come out of the Amazon app to go into your authenticator app to be able to get the 6-digit number, which changes every 30 seconds, to then remember what that number is, go back into Amazon to then put that on there. Sometimes that can be enough of a, oh God, I can't be bothered now. This is completely, I've lost the buzz that I'm getting from the spending. And setting spending limits, you can do that with some cards. You can do that with by self-discipline within the spending apps or the browsers that you're using, only allowing yourself to spend so much over a certain amount of time. And one of my most favourite things to do, which takes a little bit more planning, a little bit more awareness, and really taps into your own values around spending and how you want to feel about money, is to make intentional spending feel rewarding. So to transfer the reward from, I get some excitement when I buy something new, we transfer that to, I get some excitement by setting myself a goal within which I can then spend that money, or setting myself a spending budget rather than a saving budget, or I'm not allowed to spend. Say, well, I know that I am going to spend, I know that this is something that I do on a regular basis, and therefore I want to set an allowance. I'm going to put some money to one side, and that can be the reward, that we're actually fitting that within a budget of a bigger picture towards other financial goals. It could be a visual goal, for example. It could be something that you tick, almost like a reward chart that you have for your kids. Try to experiment with different ways in which you can find that dopamine from somewhere else. Yes, it takes intentional action. It's going to take some discipline. And this is where doing this as part of an accountability pod, or doing that with a friend to help you and you know, to share and discuss and talk about, I found this really hard for a certain reason. Just being able to know that you can explain and share without any judgment with somebody that you can completely trust is going to be something that's really going to help you with this new habit. It's the same, as I've said multiple times, it's the same with things like fitness, and exercise and the right nutrition, doing that with somebody, having somebody holding you accountable, is going to make that so much easier. And it is the same with this. Setting yourself a goal for spending, or a limit for spending, or a budget for spending, to be able to show yourself that you have that level of trust. You can trust yourself to set within a limit. You can reward yourself for doing something that is important to you because it fits into part of a bigger picture financial goal, can then become the new dopamine. Dopamine is the new black, but to get it from a completely different place. So it starts with awareness, as with most of these things, and it has to be something that you want to do. If somebody makes a suggestion and makes you feel as though you should, but your heart really isn't in it, well, then maybe now isn't the time for you to be looking to change something like this. But having an understanding and an awareness and a curiosity around, well, I feel this way when I do this behaviour, and actually I really don't like that, I'd like to change it. You can make that change. You can make the choice to do something slightly differently. And if that takes you closer to a goal, a financial goal, or a savings goal, or a when I get to this amount of money in the bank, I want to start doing this behaviour, or I want to start investing, or whatever that might be for you, all of these things can be built upon in a positive way. So I want to share some reflection prompts with you, very, very useful for journaling, just to try and dig a little deeper. I find with journaling that just once I start writing, if I put the prompt down and I allow myself to just, almost like oversharing with someone when you blurt everything out, I find that really useful with the pen. And sometimes I can read back over what I've written, just think, oh my goodness, did I really write that? Has that actually come from me? So the first one is, what am I actually looking for when I open that shopping app? Write the prompt down and then maybe set a timer for 5 minutes or 10 minutes and just start writing. Don't try and censor. Don't try and stop what you're writing and write down what you feel you should write. This needs to be something that comes from within you. And then the second prompt is, how do I feel before and after I spend? So you could almost like fold the page in half and have a before and an after, or on one side write the before and on the other side write the after. And be honest with yourself. What is it that you're chasing, and is the action and the behaviour that you're following through with, is that actually giving you what you need? If it is, great. If not, then let's do something about it. Let's take control and make a change. So, we're wired for pleasure as human beings. We are not weak, but you get to decide how you satisfy the hit that you're looking for. The pleasure that you're seeking, where do you get that from? Understanding how your brain works and how it might get in the way of what you think you should and shouldn't be doing is the first step to taking that control. I would love to hear if you have any light bulb moments with any of these journal prompts that I'm sharing with you. Please do drop me a message, either on the podcast app that you're listening to, or you can find me on social media, or you can drop me an email on tanya@financialwingwoman.com, and I would absolutely love to hear from you. Thanks so much for listening. Thank you for joining me today on Breaking Financial Chains. Remember, you have the power to transform your relationship with money one step at a time. If this episode helped you, please subscribe and leave a review to help others find their path to financial freedom. I'm Tanya, your financial wing woman, and I'll see you next week.